According to a statement released by Attorney General Peter Narana, the leader of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club chapter in Rhode Island, appeared in court and began serving a 5-year prison sentence for charges related to guns and assault. The charges stem from an incident where the individual assaulted another person while armed with a gun. Smithfield resident Joseph LANCIA, 30, pled not guilty to the charges from a fight at a city strip club in 2020 and a shooting outside the Hells Angels clubhouse in Providence in 2019. In this video, we'll talk about how Hells Angels president and members reacted to the life sentence. This is CrimeFlicks, your #1 stop for crime stories. The Hells Angels is a motorcycle club, and Adam Lee is a member. He's accused of 19 crimes, including multiple counts of murder, and he's originally from Peru. The Hells Angels Motorcycle Club is known as an outlaw motorcycle club with members who ride Harley-Davidson motorbikes. This club has chapters all over the world. They have over 3,500 members and hundreds of charters in different locations worldwide, making them the largest motorcycle club in the world. These lawbreakers are likely to confront the authorities more often than not. 1. The trial of Adam Lee Hall, sometimes known as a Hells Angel, is now taking place in Springfield. Hall is one of the 3 suspects accused of torturing and killing 3 men from Pittsfield during Hurricane Irene, then dismembering their bodies and burying the pieces in Beckett. A woman who dated Hall in the past has claimed that on the night of 2011 shooting, he concealed 3 pistols in a bag of dog food. Because of the publicity surrounding the case, the trial was moved and relocated from Berkshire County to Springfield. The Supreme Judicial Court upheld the 3 first-degree convictions of Adam Lee Hall and denied his request for a new trial. However, the court also ruled that Hall was not guilty of kidnapping one of the victims a year before the slaying. In 2014, Paul and his co-conspirators, David CHILE and Caius Veiovis, were all found guilty of first-degree offenses and sentenced accordingly. With this judgment, the 5 consecutive life sentences that the Hells Angels chapter had been serving will be reduced to 4 consecutive life terms. 2. For his role in the notorious Hells Angel triple slayings, David CHILE was given 3 consecutive life sentences in prison without the possibility of parole. These sentences were handed down as punishment for the killings of David Glasser, Edward Frampton, and Robert Chadwell. For a conviction of a crime of the first degree, the defendant must serve a minimum of life in prison without the possibility of parole. There's no possibility of parole at all, so consecutive sentences were asked. It was done to recognize the value of each victim based upon the extreme atrocity of the crime. Also, the defendant David's children were charged with the murder of Robert Chadwick, a father from Missouri, further finding their guilty verdicts. The judge of the Hampton Superior Court, C. Jeffrey Kinder, accepted the Berkshire District Attorney's recommendation that David serve 3 consecutive terms. 3. After negotiating an agreement with the prosecution, Joseph LANCIA, the president of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club in Rhode Island, changed his plea and he was sentenced to serve 5 years in prison for his conviction. Smithfield resident LANCIA, age 30, and over a dozen other members of the motorcycle club wore full-patch jackets to the hearing in the Providence Superior Court before Associate Judge Kristen Rogers. The more severe charge of discharging a firearm when conducting a crime of violence and invasion with intent to commit a slaying were withdrawn as part of the bargain. This was after LANCIA entered a plea of no contest to the charge of felony along with assault and carrying a gun without a license. For LANCIA to begin serving his sentence at one of the adult correctional establishments in Cranston for the 5 years of incarceration and 10 years of probation that will be imposed upon him, he must return to the courthouse and turn himself in. So how do you like the story so far? Is it exciting? Well, stay till the end of the video to learn more about this biker gang. Remember to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications whenever new crime-related videos are posted. Let's move on. LANCIA is accused of shooting at a truck driver named Richard, who is involved in an ongoing dispute with LANCIA. According to investigators, video surveillance shows LANCIA shooting at the car as Richard was driving by the Hells Angels Providence headquarters on Messer Street. The leading case against LANCIA stems from an incident in July 2019 when police said he fired a gun at the truck. The video and the primary evidence against LANCIA came from the clubhouse's surveillance system. If he'd been proven guilty at trial, he could have been sentenced to 61 years in jail for the 9 original accusations. Rogers cautioned LANCIA that if he violates the terms of his release, she'll send him back to prison for the whole 18-year sentence. He's returning to court on February 18th to be sent to the ACI. Giving the defendant an opportunity to explain himself, the judge implemented a full 5-year sentence, all of which is to be served at the ACI, and an 8-year no-contact order for the protection of Richard. 4. There are 3 Hells Angels that are now facing life sentences: Jonathan Nelson, or John of Santa Rosa, Russell Taylor Ott, also known as Rusty of Santa Rosa, and Brian Wayne of Tulare were involved in a conspiracy to commit a slaying, and that they were responsible for the death of one of their members. According to the Department of Justice, the Sonoma County Hells Angels Club was established in 1972. The club generates revenue from selling merchandise that bears its logo, such as t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and other swag. The club has also sponsored toy drives for children. The Department of Justice, the Santa Rosa Police Department, and the California Highway Patrol were involved in the investigation that lasted 8 years and centered on the Sonoma Club. In 2017, 11 Hells Angels Motorcycle Club members were brought up on charges of conspiring to commit various crimes, including murder, drug trafficking, armed robbery, extortion, unlawful possession of firearms, and obstruction of justice. According to the Department of Justice, Nelson, Ott, and Wayne were all involved in that sweep and have been found guilty of killing Joel Silva. 5. Maurice Bouche was the most fearsome crime boss in Quebec when he was at the height of his powers as a Hells Angel. Since his arrest in May 2002, the infamous head of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club had been incarcerated for various offenses, including 2 counts of first-degree charges of attempted slaying and conspiracy to commit a slaying. During gang warfare in Quebec, known as the Motorcycle Wars, Bouche served a life sentence for the murders of prison officers PIER Rondo and DIANE LEVINE in 1997. The death in 1995 of Daniel Duroche, an 11-year-old boy from Montreal who was killed in an explosion linked to the Motorcycle Wars, provoked a great public outrage and led to the arrest of other members of biker gangs across the province. Maurice Bouche passed away at the age of 69. He had throat cancer and refused treatment for the sickness for several months. He was recently moved from his super maximum security facility to another on the same property that may give palliative care. Ultimately, he died of natural causes. Well, that's what we've got in this video for you. So tell us, what do you think? How has this news affected the members of the Hells Angels? Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to CrimeFlicks.